Welcome to Gartner ThinkCast. I'm Alexis Waringa. As AI moves from experimentation to enterprise-wide transformation, many data and analytics leaders are asking the same question. What will actually create competitive advantage when AI models and infrastructure become commodities? In this episode, you'll hear Gartner Distinguished Vice President Analyst and Chief of Research Rita Sallam in a preview of a recent standout webinar. She'll share Gartner's vision for the AI-native enterprise, including the shifts organizations need to make between now and 2030. Drawing on real-world examples, she explores why success with AI depends on far more than adopting new tools. It requires investing in trusted data foundations, rethinking how teams work alongside AI agents, and building the context that turns information into actionable intelligence. Now, here's Rita Sallam.
Welcome to Data and Analytics 2030. Here we'll discuss 3 shifts that you need to make to create sustained value as a data and analytics leader in the age of AI. But I'd like to start this discussion with a topic that's near and dear to my heart and many of you, mammograms. The word mammograms, I know, it elicits different emotions depending upon your age, your gender, or whether or not someone you love has been saved by one. For most women of a certain age, like myself, it's a dreaded annual pilgrimage. And while traditional AI-assisted mammograms have been around for quite some time, they detect current issues. So a May 2025 FDA authorized algorithm actually predicts breast cancer 5 years in advance with 70% accuracy. Now, radiology-assisted mammograms, they don't predict. So this is a game changer. And how could they do this? Well, they achieved this by from the sort of innovative critical thinkers at Clarity and Kung Fu.ai, 2 vendors. They combined a unique data set of decades of global and diverse longitudinal mammogram data. And they also applied federated learning techniques to protect privacy, to solve what is a massive problem that'll transform the standard of care and save countless lives. So my question for you really is, and what I hope you think about during the session and maybe afterwards as you go about your day-to-day work, is through 2030, as a DNA leader in your organization, how will you create unique value? And so, that's sort of the key. Because really, as models and underlying infrastructure commoditize, and they're commoditizing quickly, you need to deliver on essentially 3 things, right? You need to create highly discoverable, trusted, high quality, and importantly, reusable data and context for that data, just like Clarity did when they created this breakthrough mammogram algorithm. Now, imagine getting rid of all your dashboards by converting that highly discoverable, trusted, reusable data and data products into perceptive and proactive and fluid intelligence that's on tap and ready when anybody needs it. You'll probably need to do that as well. And then you'll need to deliver that always-on intelligence to smaller teams of broadly skilled, AI-augmented, likely exceptional critical thinkers who know how to ask the right questions, who can frame the right problems, and maybe even in small teams of as small as 2 people, 1 tech generalist, 1 business generalist, with agent specialists assisting their work. And you'll see some examples of that today. What we do know from all of this experience with AI, particularly generative AI since let's say late 2022, delivering value is really hard work. And most executives don't understand what it takes. They think you're just going to buy more tools, more AI tools, more ChatGPT, and voila, transformation. But you've all heard the numbers. Our particular surveys show that approximately 4 in 5 AI investments have not resulted in measurable ROI. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is those numbers don't tell the full story. In fact, 1 in 5 are quite happy with their investments. And so what do they do differently? One of their attributes is that they spend 4 times as much as a percent of revenue on foundations that you are responsible for as DNA leaders, on data, on governance, on people, and people transformation and change management. They spend 4 times as more as a percent of revenue than those that are least satisfied. And so, you know, how do we get there? How do we be that 1 in 5? Well, it all starts with your AI ambition. What are your business objectives with respect to AI? How you invest in those foundations, how you execute to build those foundations, your degree of change, all of that will depend on your organization's AI ambitions. And of course, where you are today, how far do you need to go? That's the question. How far, not only do you need to go, how far will you go? Will you keep the same processes and augment them with AI? Or will you refine and sort of recalibrate your processes? Or will you need to completely reimagine your enterprise? And then the DNA organization and your leadership style will have to also transform to support that kind of ambition. And by the way, this is a journey, it's a continuum. You may have pieces of different archetypes as you transition. You may have divisions in your organization that are different archetypes, understandably. But the key is that you have to identify your ambition, where you are today, and put in place a strategy, a roadmap, an operating model, a value realization approach to achieve your organization's AI ambition. And so, the challenge is that while many organizations can defend their competitive positions today by being AI cautious, not every organization has to be AI first. It does become a risky position by 2030. And while it feels safe today, AI first organizations, they won't just be more efficient. They'll be operating with an entirely different business model, powered by perceptive analytics, by increasingly autonomous execution. So wherever you are, you need to think about how you shift right. That brings us to the shifts that you'll need to make. Based on your AI ambitions, those foundational investments, they drive those shifts through 2030 towards your AI ambition. And so to create unique value, every organization has to rethink, first and foremost, how do you work? Which means creating value compounding through agentic transformation. Agents will impact how DNA operations function. Next, you need to think about, how you build and scale, particularly in your tech foundations, recognizing that important to how agents function, critical, in fact, is the concept of context. It is the brain of AI. So much so that we believe that that's your new critical infrastructure. Now, if you've been in analytics for any amount of time, analytics people always knew that context is important. We called it semantics, but that semantics has extended beyond just your business objects universe to include other things like ontologies and knowledge graphs. Those will be critical. Those are critical for how agents function accurately and cost effectively. And so we need to do that. And then the third shift that we need to make is thinking about trust as a catalyst of value, not just as a mechanism for control. How do you do this? How have others been successful? That's what we'll talk about as well. So I always like to start, you'll see throughout this presentation, I will share what I call pace setting practices. And so this is our first one. This pace setter is Triumph. They are a transportation payment network, transitioning from what they call a traditional bank to a data company. And they've implemented many of the things we'll talk about today, AI capabilities, in their case, to automate invoice risk ratings. And what this has allowed them to do, basically, is to pay low risk invoices in seconds rather than in days. And that allows them to route sort of the high-risk ones to humans. Now, this shift automated 75% of their 10 billion plus business, their annual transportation, loan factoring, microtransactions volume. And for them, it represents this fundamental shift towards increasingly autonomous decision-making, fundamental business model reinvention. You can see the results. Net promoter score increased from 33 to 75. That's like Apple territory. And their EBITDA increased by 10%. So pretty decent results, excellent transformation. And the keys to their success is, again, data. They built a bespoke, in their case, non-generative AI model based on their company's proprietary data. They invested in people processes, they re-engineered, reimagined their core processes. They invested in foundations and, importantly, governance. They implemented a plan to manage risk and trust. They're in a regulated industry, so that was critically important. And people, innovation, and data applied to transforming their business.
AI is everywhere. But what does it mean for your business? Gartner is the world authority on AI, with more than 200,000 client conversations and more than 6,000 written insights on AI in 2025 alone. Leaders across the C-suite, just like you, are partnering with Gartner to turn AI ambition into impact. Go to Gartner.com/AI to learn more.
So let's talk more about the foundations needed to achieve this. And we will start first with compounding value through transforming your organization and it's not just going to be on your own or with agents on your own. There's going to be human agent collaboration. And to do this, you need a new operating model to get your current talent pool ready, and you need to hire for the future. The skills you need will be different, and how you organize will be different. And to see what the future will look like, ask yourself, what if we could start from a clean slate today? And to do that, just look no further than AI startups. They give us a peek into the future of organizations with AI native processes that combine people and agents. Now, legacy organizations aren't going to be able to do that, but they give you some view into a path that, or at least a continuum on which you might try to progress so that you can work in a similar way. Now, in this case, our research shows there are a number of AI native startups that generate 10 times the annual recurring revenue, or ARR, per FTE than other startups. And so these startups will be the pace setter for incumbent companies in the future. And so, we see that within data and analytics, right? You're seeing increasingly agentic capabilities making the way into the tooling that you already use. The end-to-end workflow for data management, data preparation, context, model generation, catalog generation, governance, analysis. All of those activities are becoming more available and increasingly autonomous. We just published a great toolkit that can help you prioritize DNA-specific agentic use cases that you can certainly access if you are a Gartner client. And here's a prediction regarding potential for AI and agentic transformation in DNA, specifically in data management specifically. We see that by 2029, agentic data management using adaptive, context-aware, again, these agents need context, AI agents will have automated 75% of data engineering workflows, freeing capacity for higher value reinvestment. That will certainly accelerate. Now, what are the implications of that? Where do people fit into this version of the world? We don't believe the future is about replacing humans, but really amplifying their ingenuity, their ability to execute, their innovation. So here, teams will shift from what is currently sort of your pizza pie model of human specialists led in an AI-cautious organization to agile fusion teams of business technical and AI augmentation. If you're AI opportunistic, you're probably here. To what will be AI first. What is AI first? We see AI first organizations implementing this today to tiny agent augmented teams of humans and agents in decision pods. Exceptionally pace setting companies here report experimenting with teams of two, one technology generalist, one business generalist. Insourcing, of course, will increase in this model as teams have more capacity. So the good news is that AI, we don't believe, will result in a net headcount reduction in DNA, although there will be a transition of roles and skills, but will require broad skilling the workforce. The bad news is that broad skilling is much harder than cutting headcount, but that is what will be required. And that also means that, again, the future isn't about replacing humans. We don't believe that. But you will need to transition people, and they will need new management skills. Agent management skills are different, right? They're big picture thinking types of skills. As humans become agent managers, orchestrators, administrators, challengers, auditors of agents of agents and their decisions, importantly, in these agile, tiny decision pods. And, people who are best at managing these swarms of agents will be these big picture thinkers. Many people in the current sort of AI cautious pizza pie model are specialist thinkers. So managing agents will be a new skill that has to be developed and hired for ultimately. Now, as an example, the impact will be felt across data and analytics. But if we look at analytics in particular, it's an area of significant change, right? Affecting every organization with a dashboard. We know that visual-based data discovery with interactive dashboards, think Tableau, think Spotfire, think Click, and now Power BI. Tableau and Spotfire actually and Click disrupted that market in the early 2000s. Now the entire technical layer, SQL writing, data modeling, dashboard creation, insight detection, anomaly identification, recommendations, and actions, they're all being automated by agents. We're calling it agentic analytics. And we believe this will have such an impact that by 2028, 40% of self-service analytics users will adopt some form of LLM data types of analysis, and that will reshape the analytics landscape, displacing standalone analytics and BI vendors, maybe that don't adapt. Maybe your vendor will extend. But AI first DNA organizations are really reimagining self-service as increasingly autonomous service. And those users are empowered to use natural language or vibe analytics, sort of the parallel to vibe coding, instead of using pre-built dashboards to analyze their data. And so here, I'll just share another pace setter with you. Pace setter Laura Reinhardt, she's the CDAO at Cisco. They're the food company, not the router company. She has the audacious goal to eliminate 14,000 traditional dashboards in her organization by 2030, replacing them with an agentic platform that they've already started to orchestrate what she describes as autonomous workflows and delivering AI-powered persona portals with conversational analytics and embedded analytics. So they're moving from sending notifications to these self-resolving AI-powered insights. So users, say a district sales manager, can ask natural language questions to retrieve insights like whether a specific customer is meeting their contractual agreements. And this isn't overnight. This is a 5-year journey they are on across the dimensions that we've been talking about. So they're modernizing their data platform, in their case, shifting away from traditional time-consuming processes of physically centralizing their data. Instead, they're adopting a data fabric methodology to connect application systems directly. What she says is, if you think you have to collect all of your data physically, that's probably the biggest pitfall she suggests you avoid. She's automating data governance and management, moving from, policy and spreadsheets to policy and code, from passive oversight to active automation. And this includes embedding automated data quality checks, lineage tracking, metadata tagging directly into the platform itself. And of course, she is maturing her analytics. We already talked about that. And importantly, she's investing in changing the way people work and the ways of working. So in her case, and we see this consistently with AI-first organizations, she's upskilling the existing workforce, and rather than recruiting new roles, and this involves basically certification programs to help data engineers, data scientists, analysts evolve into AI engineers. She's using AI to automate, manual coding, dashboard creation, and then the team's excess capacity, we'll talk about this in a sec, is being reinvested into data storytelling and managing the feedback loops from their agents. To be able to actually do this, you need a talent shift and competency at hiring and cultivating what are exceptional people. We're calling them questioneers. And what are those questioneers? What attributes do they have? Because AI can't automate the necessary ingredients for success, we know this. You still need sort of humans there in the loop or in the lead, however you want to describe it. As tasks are automated, you will place a premium on these uniquely human qualities and capabilities. So the goal is for you to hire and cultivate people who can challenge AI, who can frame the right questions, who can identify the right problems and decisions, who can synthesize cross-domain knowledge, of course, potentially assisted by AI, but they have the tested knowledge in their heads. Importantly, those people have to have thirst for continuous learning, maybe daily, intradaily, for fluid knowledge and reinvention. Ethics, adaptive learning will be core ethos of the continuously informed employee in 2030 that acquires fluid knowledge as things change. You'll need to hire and develop broad-skilled questioneers, and you might even call them decisioneers. But Kung Fu.ai, one of the vendors on the mammogram example, they, in addition to collapsing what were separate roles similar to Cisco into full stack data, AI, and software engineers, they also staff their projects with AI strategists. And those AI strategists are aligning engineering to corporate strategy, to business value, to make sure also that they get the change management, the people and the process and the organizational context just right. So another great example here. And then, now your people strategy and your value strategy are very much intertwined. Because when you redesign your teams for human agent collaboration, you're essentially creating excess time or excess capacity, right? But contrary to popular belief, which time actually doesn't equal money, it doesn't equal value. It's theoretical, particularly time from productivity. Time value has to be harvested and converted into financial outcomes through business change, through transformation, and people upskilling and transformation, and new performance metrics. So AI-first leaders will create what we're describing as this value flywheel, where efficiency gains from high-impact investments are intentionally, and that's the key, intentionally reinvested into growth and innovation, which is measured and managed intentionally. Work and performance metrics have to be redesigned. It's not enough just to throw out, tools to everybody in the organization and expect miracles to happen. Intentional reinvestment is required. And that means that, the currency of success actually changes from time saved to time transformed into money. And the key is to embed value management in every single part of the value lifecycle, from use case assessment, prioritization, through pilot, through rollout and production, because things change in production, particularly on the cost side. Intentionally reinvesting excess capacity is key to your DNA transformation for 2030.
Thanks for listening to this latest episode of ThinkCast. That was Gartner Distinguished Vice President Analyst and Chief of Research Rita Sallam. To learn more about this topic and to watch the full webinar, follow the links in the description. For more episodes like this, be sure to subscribe. And don't forget to leave a review, drop a comment, and share with a colleague so neither of you will miss it.